Hey, don't listen to me, but the three financial strategies that actually changed my life weren't the safe ones your parents tell you about. And they definitely weren't the hustle culture fantasies the internet loves to sell you. I tried all of it: the responsible path, the take massive risk path, the grind until you collapse path. And honestly, they all failed. So if you've been chasing financial freedom and every route just leads to burnout or disappointment, you're not alone. The real answer is way simpler and way less glamorous than anything I was ever told. When I first started taking money seriously, I did what everyone does. I followed the safe path. Work hard, save your money, don't take risks. I spent years doing everything right, and I realized I wasn't actually going anywhere. I wasn't building freedom. I was just surviving. So then I swung the other way. I went full hustle culture. I tried network marketing, cold calling, online stores, day trading, real estate, all the take big risks and change your life strategies that promise freedom if you just grind harder. And honestly, those were even worse. The laptop lifestyle dream turned into me being glued to a screen 12 hours a day. The build a downline thing made me realize I was basically making money off people who couldn't win. In real estate, I ended up with destroyed units, constant repairs, and a mortgage so heavy it felt like a backpack full of bricks I couldn't take off. I traded one exhausting path for another, and neither got me closer to peace. That's when it clicked. The safe methods don't give you freedom. The extreme methods don't give you freedom, and the real answer is somewhere in between. And that's where these three strategies completely changed my life. Strategy 1. Borrow to invest. Responsible leverage. Let's start with the one that scares people the most: borrowing to invest. Even just saying it used to make me tense up, because for most of us, the only message we ever hear about debt is stay away. Debt equals danger. Debt means you're irresponsible. Debt means failure. We grow up hearing that story, and it makes sense. Our parents were raised in a completely different world. Back then, borrowing really was a trap because interest rates were brutal and access to information was limited. But here's the thing: the world's changed. Today, money moves faster than ever, and opportunities don't sit around waiting for you to save up. At some point, I realized saving alone was never going to get me where I wanted to go, at least not in the time I wanted to get there. When I really looked at the numbers, I saw something that changed everything. My investments were capable of growing at a higher rate than the interest I'd be paying on a loan. That meant if I used borrowing intelligently, not emotionally, I could grow faster than saving ever would. That's when I started seeing debt differently, not as a trap, but as a lever. Think of it this way: two people are building a house. One is using hand tools. One has access to power tools. The one with power tools isn't risking more. They're just using leverage. Debt, when used correctly, is your financial power tool. It saves you time. Now, let me be clear. I didn't go out and start borrowing money like a maniac. I didn't max out cards or take payday loans or gamble with leverage. I used structured, low-interest lines of credit, timed for moments when the market or an investment made sense. Before I borrowed anything, I ran the math. Could this money realistically earn more than it costs to borrow? Did I have a plan to repay it before I touched it? And here's the key: I never used borrowed money for lifestyle or comfort. No vacations, no cars, no shiny objects, only for things that built assets or created growth. There was a real turning point for me, one opportunity I would have missed completely if I waited to save up. Because opportunities don't wait for you to be ready. They show up when they show up. Borrowing responsibly let me step into that moment. That single choice didn't just make me more money, it changed how I thought about time. It shaved years off my financial path. And that's the thing no one tells you. Borrowing isn't bad. Misusing borrowing is bad. If you stay disciplined and treat leverage like a tool with structure, purpose, and accountability, it can completely transform your ability to build wealth. Leverage isn't about risk. It's about acceleration. Strategy 2. Working with a financial advisor or portfolio manager. The second strategy that changed everything was admitting something I didn't want to admit. I couldn't do it all alone. For years, I convinced myself that I was saving money by being my own financial advisor. I didn't want to pay fees, and I thought, I can just learn everything myself. I'll figure it out. But here's what I learned the hard way. Doing it yourself works, until your emotions get involved. Markets go up, you get overconfident. Markets go down, you panic. And emotions destroy more portfolios than bad math ever could. A good financial advisor doesn't just manage your money, they manage you. They give you structure, long-term vision, and emotional guardrails. They help you stay rational when fear or greed starts whispering in your ear. There was this one moment I'll never forget. The market had dipped hard, and I was ready to pull out. Everything in me wanted to hit that sell button. If I'd been alone, I would have. My advisor calmly walked me through what was actually happening. He showed me why the market drop wasn't a signal to run. It was actually an opportunity to hold. If I'd sold, I would have locked in losses that didn't need to happen. That conversation saved me thousands. And more importantly, it taught me emotional discipline. That's when it really clicked. This is why wealthy people pay professionals. Not because they can't do it themselves, but because they know their own psychology is the real risk factor. Before working with an advisor, every decision felt like a mental marathon. I was constantly researching, doubting, overanalyzing, second-guessing myself. Once I had a portfolio manager, I suddenly had clarity. I had someone to talk things through with, someone to check my blind spots. Money started feeling calmer, more predictable. It didn't consume my mental energy anymore. And that's huge, because decision fatigue is one of the most underrated reasons people fail financially. Having a structure, a system, a sounding board, gave me back that mental bandwidth. It let me focus on what I'm actually good at instead of constantly worrying about what's next. That's what people don't get. Wealth isn't just built from making money, it's built from preserving clarity. Strategy 3, whole life dividend paying insurance. The third strategy, and honestly the most misunderstood one, was using whole life dividend paying insurance. Some people say it's a scam. Others treat it like this magic wealth building secret. The truth is it's neither. It's a tool. And when you understand it, it becomes one of the strongest financial foundations you can build. For me, it was the first time I had a place to store money that wasn't just sitting there doing nothing. My cash value was growing quietly and steadily in the background, protected from market swings, accessible through policy loans, and all of it compounding even when I borrowed against it. That last part blew my mind because I realized I could use the same dollar in two places at once. It could be growing inside the policy while also being borrowed out to invest elsewhere. That's when it clicked that this wasn't some old school insurance product. It was a long-term cash management tool. It gave me peace of mind, not because it made me rich overnight, but because it gave me something money rarely gives people: calm. The markets could crash, stocks could drop, interest rates could move up or down, and my policy still quietly grew every month. I could access funds through a loan without paying capital gains tax or touching my investments. That flexibility completely changed how I handled risk. The first time I used a policy loan, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: relief. Not excitement, not adrenaline, just relief. Because I wasn't reacting anymore. I had stability, I had structure, I had something that worked no matter what the headline said, and no, it's not for everyone. Whole life requires discipline and consistency. You have to understand how it's structured and why it works. But when you do, and especially when you combine it with the other two strategies, it becomes this quiet engine in the background of your financial life. It's not flashy, but it's steady. It's not quick, but it's predictable. And sometimes that's exactly what real wealth feels like. These three strategies weren't trendy, risky, or sexy, but they worked. Not because they were shortcuts, but because they fit who I was and the kind of life I actually wanted. Freedom isn't built on hype or luck. It's built on clarity, structure, and consistency. And once I stopped chasing gimmicks and started using tools that made sense for me, everything about my financial life changed. If you want more grounded videos like this, about money, mindset, and real financial freedom, hit subscribe. And tell me in the comments, which of these strategies do you want me to break down next? I read every comment, so let me know where you're at.